from all the stuff that I've learned about what actually happened on November 22nd and everything, because as far as I'm aware, correct me if I'm wrong, but there was an active FBI file and CIA file on Lee at that time. They were tracking everywhere he went. There was a CIA person at every desk that he was going to in Dallas, Mexico City, New Orleans. And there was what's called a flash on his FBI file, right? So he was like,
well, that was removed, before the assassination.
Right. So that's what I was getting to.
Yeah.
Is everywhere he went, he was very high on the FBI's list of people who sent, like, it was a red flag. If he was anywhere, like, they know where the hell he's going. But
that's not what they told the people. They said we didn't know a thing about what he was doing. You remember that?
Right. But this, I'm trying to explain it for the audience. So the day before Kennedy was assassinated, that high-level flash warning that was on his FBI profile was removed.
Absolutely.
And because if it was on there, him being on that route on November 22nd, 1963, was the equivalent of a flea being at a Lysol convention.
Yeah, that's right.
Because there's no way in hell you would let a guy like that be anywhere near that.
That's right.
That thing. So the fact that his FBI flash stop thing was removed the day before, that is a massive red flag that there was some sort of something sinister going on because they wanted him to be there.
Yeah, but they wanted to make sure he could be blamed.
And I think
they can't blame him if they've got him on flash, right?
Right. And when I had John Newman in here, he said that he went and interviewed one of the ladies who signed off on that flash stop that was working for the CIA. Yeah. Her name was Jane Roman.
Oh, Roman, yes.
And he went and interviewed her before she died, and he says, "What does this mean?" And he said that she kind of smiled at him and said, "It's indicative of a need to know on the highest level that was above my head." And basically, she, however she said it to him was basically like something sketchy happened here. And she basically admitted that, like, I don't think the CIA was very happy with her after that meeting with John.
Well, there's nothing else she could say.
Right.
That too much stuff had come out.
Right.
There are many, many files out there that they don't know exist because they thought they got destroyed. Some good people didn't want them destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We've got the Clinton-Jackson incident you never hear of. That's when I said I went up there at one time with Lee. But before that, Lee, Oswald, David Ferry, and Clay Shaw and Garrison grabbed that. They went up there originally to get these people injected. Clay Shaw was there with the bribery money, okay? And that worked very well because these people are not going to do this for nothing, all right? There's danger involved. And Lee Oswald is observing because nothing can be written down. Now, we had a lot of stuff written down, but not the stuff that was important, And so he is observing. So what the idea is, whoever picked up that in Mexico City, they would have had another meeting. He would have orally told them how to handle it and all that before he heads off to Cuba. Right. Yeah.
So, okay, so at what point...
And then David Ferry was there to do injections because there wasn't anybody that wanted to take that responsibility. Now, they're sitting there for hours. People are going, why? They think, well, we have to get Lee Oswald, to register to vote. Well, the car could have dropped them off and left. They couldn't because they had to go and wait for a phone call at the pay. There was only payphone in town. They had to sit there, and they didn't know the day before Martin Luther King had to have a dream speech in this little sleepy town in Clinton. Has a town hall there, the parish seat. And all these people are lined up to vote, and they're stuck there because they're waiting for a phone call. It took the phone call. They waited 3 hours for a phone call.
Right.
They can't leave, and anybody knows if it's just to drop Lee off because that was an excuse to register to vote so he could somehow work at an insane asylum so then they can claim he's insane. All the crazy things they've got that are not true. But, of course, Lee gets out of the car because everybody's staring and stands in line because he ran into a woman, and she had actually an AA degree, and she's black, and they said she failed her literacy test and couldn't read the Constitution. They put in front of her face. She was crying. She had stood in line. Lee said, I'm going to stand in line. I'll bet I can just flash my stuff and say Yeah.
So explain that story real quick. So Lee, David Ferry, and Guy Bannister.
Not Guy Bannister.
I thought Guy Bannister was there. I thought he was driving the car.
That is a lie. It's Clay Shaw, and we have the documents saying that he put out.
Oh, it was Clay Shaw.
That's why Garrison went after him.
Okay, all right. I must have got the names mixed up.
No, they inserted Guy Bannister later. And
they did.
Yeah.
Oh,
but that's a lie. We have all the documents, and in fact, I gave you a DDON there.
And for people, just so people can follow, who was Clay Shaw again? Give just like a.
Clay Shaw was the director of the underdirector of the International Trade Mart, and he
was the independently wealthy businessman who.
Well, he's mainly pretty wealthy, but the point is that he had all the contacts with CIA, and they tried to.
He was the only guy that was brought in on the.
Well, they could because he really wanted to go after Ochsner, and Ochsner is so popular he didn't dare. But he started there because Ochsner.
Right.
I gave you a picture showing Ochsner and Clay Shaw together, and the reason that. I did that is because they even claimed that they didn't know each other. When International House, you saw that they're the ones that arranged for Kennedy. Okay. International House was run for 9.5 years. Clay Shaw was there with Ochsner.
And Clay Shaw's the only one who was brought into the trial by Jim Garrison, right?
Because he had enough contacts, obviously, with the CIA and the bad guys. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So
and I met him
why
twice.
did they?
I met him twice. Too.
Really?
Yeah, I've met most of these people.
Why did they want to bring Lee? What was the town again? Clinton.
This is Clinton.
Why did they want to bring him there to register to vote?
Well, they didn't. That's the lie. He only got out of the car to stand in line so he would be stared at while he's in the car. So he said, I'll do that because this girl came by and said they refused her. He said, I'll bet I can register and I don't even belong to this parish.
Why were they doing that? What was the reason?
What?
Why did they go there?
Again, they had arranged before knowing about the Martin Luther King thing that I had a dream there.
Yeah.
It was a sleepy because a convoy was coming up from Angola prison with these prisoners.
Okay.
And they want to join the convoy with all their injections and all the stuff they've got. And they have to have a fancy car. Clay Shaw is driving the fancy car. He's got the money. But he's going to join the convoy. You've got a official car in the back. You've got I don't know what they had, but you've got a Cadillac, black Cadillac, all go in it together. But you can't go in by yourself. They're going to ask for credentials. So go in. They have to wait for the phone call. There's a long road before you can be seen, turning into Jackson to go to the mental hospital. They're going to meet them there. Well, they can't sit there on the road there. People would notice, on the big highway.
Right.
But they could sit by the phone booth and wait for the phone call, exactly, get the timing right, because we're only talking about 20 miles, to join them. And they delayed and delayed and delayed. I don't know, because you see, they're only supposed to use one prisoner, and they added more for sure.
Wow. Okay, I see.
So they had some red tape.
I understand.
Well, they tried to hide all this and say that they were just waiting for him to vote. They could have gone to a coffee shop around the corner, wouldn't that sit there and there. So we had 15 people. I told you about we went out and they found all these things and worked with me. We went to Clinton, and I said, that phone booth is right there on Liberty Street. Maybe we can still find evidence that it was there. Because it was the only one in town that was a public phone booth, where you could park your car and wait right there. Sure enough, we found it. We found the wiring, we found the wood parts, and even where it was painted and everything. It was gone, but all the wiring was there and everything, just like exactly where I said it was.
Wow.
Because I have a map of it. I even knew where the thing was located. Because Lee...
At what point did Lee find out about this plan to kill the president?
They knew... at least by March. There is a famous photo. It's called The Wink. And you'll see Albert Thomas is winking at Lyndon Johnson in the plane right after Lyndon Johnson is sworn in. He's grinning and he's winking. Albert Thomas, in March of 1963, had Kennedy invited to Texas because he was going to retire. This is in Houston. Albert Thomas gets on the plane after the celebrate, a dinner where he's resigning and all that. Now get this, he's friends with Lyndon Johnson. Sure, you can imagine him Albert Thomas going, there's the wink. You can imagine Albert Thomas getting on the plane maybe from Houston just to Fort Worth, okay? Because they're friends. Okay. But he spends the night there and more. He's there to Dallas as well. Why? I mean, why? Albert Thomas is still on the plane. When Kennedy's shot, he's on the plane, and he's taking off, and they're going to go to Washington, D.C.
Right.
Wait a minute. How many people do you know that you're going to meet in some certain city? You're going to their dinner, and then they get on your plane with you, and then they follow you. Where's his suitcase or whatever? He spends 2 years up there before they said he's going to die. And you've got that wink. He's the one that set up to get Kennedy on this route to go to Texas. That's why the wink. That was March of 1963.
Okay.
Now, those who was following that, Oxner knew everywhere where everybody's going.
Yep.
He was very close friends with Mary Sherman.
Yep.
Yeah, so they found out.
So Mary and Lee found out through
Lots of
Oxner.
things.
Somehow through Oxner.
Well, Oxner being so, he would take Mary.
Did Lee tell you how he learned about this specifically? Did he give you any specifics?
No, the meeting I had was between David Ferry and Mary Sherman. Is that when they told me that they knew of these things and that I had to trust them just like they had to trust me with this kind of information,
Okay.
because they needed my expertise. Because look, this looks shady to me. The party that Dave Ferry invited me to is full homosexuals, and people were screaming there they wanted to kill Kennedy and all this. They're all anti-Castro people. And yes, David Ferry is picking up all kinds of information about him because they want to kill Kennedy. So he's kept, you see what I'm saying? And I said, this is crazy. I don't want to have any, these people want to kill Kennedy. So Lee had to take me to Guy Bannister. That's I've got documents I showed you for
Lee
Guy Bannister.
Lee took you to Guy Bannister.
That's right.
Okay. When was this?
Well, that was right after this horrible party where I said, look, I'm not going to have anything to do with this. Are you crazy? You're saying you want to kill Kennedy. David Ferry said that out loud. Mm-hmm. And he said to me, Dave said, at this meeting with Dave later, he said, what am I going to do? Am I going to say hail to the chief in front of people that want to kill Kennedy? Or am I going to say I'm going along with this? I'm going to go along with this so I get more information, for God's sake.